Yes, I just want to get it ready.
I don't know what Ultra Instinct is.
This is a Dragon Ball Super. Now, I was in a My Hero Academia cosplay. I just took it off.
So do you go to a lot of anime cons?
I'm going to Easton this year.
I'm new to this area and I want to learn more about it, so.
Yeah, I'm going to Easton. It's at Donald Lee Stevens and Rosemont.
Oh, good, in case I mess it up.
Yeah, well, just in case.
And I have my IT guy here, he's gonna tell me if my screen messes up.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, it's all set up for when you guys are ready.
We can, or I can introduce myself.
No, let me get started. And then you can start. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Fan Fest.
Lots of people. Lots of busy people.
Well, I am I'm Peter Librarian, one of your librarians, and I am very excited to introduce you to one of my favorite people coming to Fan Fest today, and that's Sarah Fuji. And Sarah is super cool because not only does she know how to make our lunches cute, she also is a young adult author. And we have a lot of her books here. For example, we have this book, Faking Reality, which I read last weekend. And it's so cute. So anyway, Sarah has brought postcards with her books. We also have at OLPL this book. And I believe we also have this book. So anyway, if you want to take out this book, you can just grab it from here and go check it out. I also brought some of the Japanese and Korean cookbooks and language books that we have here. Because if you're interested in Asian culture, we have a lot of resources here at OLPL. So anyway, let me now turn things over to Sarah. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much for coming to a long day. So I want to introduce myself. はじめまして、どうぞよろしくお願いします。Sarahです。Chicagoに住んでいます。Hi, my name is Sarah Figueroa, and I live here in Chicago. I am new to Chicago. I just moved here in December. And before then, I lived in Phoenix and I worked a lot in the anime community. And I was the Obento Lady. So I sold Obento boxes and taught people how to do it. So today we're going to say, "Itadakimasu." Let's make Obento. So the first question I get a lot is it Obento or bento? And it's actually both. It depends on who is receiving it. So even if you spent 3 hours making this beautiful bento that you're giving to the person that you have a crush on, you have to be humble and call it bento. If I receive it from you, I have to call it obento. So you always have to be humble. O is an honorific, so like ocha is tea. That's an honorific tea because they really put a lot of importance on tea. You don't pluralize Japanese now. So is anybody studying Japanese right now? Anybody studying Japanese? A little bit. So they use counter words in front of nouns. So whether you're making 1 bento or 100 bento, it's still bento, and then you put that's in front of it and stuff. So that's why they don't pluralize bentos. And you'll hear me call it both bento and obento. That's fine. Yeah. Oh, good. Very nice. I think everybody should try to speak more than one language, especially as you go out into the bigger world. I think it will always be a positive thing. And you can start learning Korean because you love K-pop. You can start learning Japanese because you like anime. And then you might be the person when you're 25, 30 years old, working in your company, and they're like, oh, we have people coming from South Korea, and you introduce yourself, or they're coming from Japan. And there's just that global mindset for all the people. So obento making is an art form in Japan. This is one of the bentos that I made. I don't want to stand in the waiter. Yeah. And I was saying to our moms here that in Japan, it would be their job to make your lunch look like this every single day. Because if you rolled up to school and lunch and you got out your lunch and it didn't look fabulous like this, then your friends would make fun of you, or at least poke fun at you. And like, well, your mom doesn't love you. She didn't spend enough time on your lunch today. It's like, what, a peanut butter sandwich? She must not like you. Most people think bento or obento is this, and these are called kyaraben. These are character bento. So these are the ones where you got your dedicated scissors and you're cutting seaweed to make it, faces or little cat faces and stuff, or you're making rice into molds and yeah, different vegetables.
There's like ice cutter.
Uh-huh.
So you like there's like a cut like
Yeah.
a ski one.
So does it look sort of like this and stuff where they could start coming out in like 3D shapes? Yeah, so when you go to school, and you're like, that's a very nice bento. I just learned about Obento this weekend. So this is what people think it needs to look like. But Obento means boxed meal. It doesn't mean lunch. It doesn't mean character bed. It just means boxed meal. So it can be, if you go to a Japanese restaurant and you order the box set where it has like the divided kind of stuff, technically this is bento, even though you didn't eat it at lunch. Or on the other side, it's like a plain kind of thing. It's meal prepping. It's meal prepping. That's all that's what it is. If you go to Japan, so I go to Japan, and one of my favorite things is because I'm a foodie and I'm a traveler, is I like to have the different bento from the area. So if you go by train, so the train is eki, you can get special eki ben, which are bento that are at the train stations, and they usually have foods that are popular in that region. And so if you go and you ride the bullet train that's going what, like 300 miles an hour or something like that, taking the bullet train, and get like your little box bento and you're sitting in your seat and the little stuff is whizzing by. It's just fun. And then also, if you decide to go to Japan and you need to save money, you can go to the kombini bento, get a kombini bento. So kombini are convenience stores. They have Lawson, they have 7-Elevens. They are very different. They're not the sad hot dogs at 7-Eleven. If you go to kombini, they have like a whole section that has like the rice triangles, the onigiri, they have all kinds of different foods. And you can buy like a whole meal for maybe 800 yen. And this one was only 800 yen too. So about 800 yen, which is like $7.50. So even if you could go to like McDonald's, it's gonna be more than that. But anyway, you can go and you can get like full meals. And so if you're going to Japan and you need to save money, you can totally do that. My son is in Japan right now. He decided to stay and go to school. So he goes to class and then on his way home, he picks up bento so that way he can save some money and also he doesn't have to cook. Bento can be a single thing. It can be just your lunch. Or if you are going to a cosplay meetup or a group thing with friends or a picnic or something like that, you can make it for a crowd because all it is, again, boxed meal. So the one on the right, I've seen actually at H Mart. So they have the ones with like a little shape like a cherry blossom and it's like 3 stacks. And then you can put like sandwiches or food or cheese or whatever. But again, you're not using a lot of plastic because you're doing it yourself. So is this bento? This Lunchable?
Oh,
Okay, technically it is.
it's right.
Do you want to eat that?
No,
But does this make you feel happy?
no.
It's my childhood.
That's your childhood. Does it like it should make you
Not
feel
every
day or
Does it feel
lunch.
does it feel sad? Is it
Yeah.
like wrapping your body in plastic in the landfill yet? So you might be saying, why is this really white lady speaking in Japanese and talking about Japanese stuff? So I've been married to my husband Toshi for 30 years now. He grew up in Japan and we moved around a little bit and then we stayed in Arizona for about 20 years and raised our kids. And then in December, we moved to Chicago by ourselves. Our kids are adults. Yeah.
How you like in Chicago so far?
Well, now that it stopped snowing, yes, I like it.
It's great, ain't it?
About January, no, not love like I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I am,
I'm so bad.
I'm born and raised here, so, yeah.
So we are a biracial, bicultural family, and we're trying to be bilingual. So I can speak a little bit of Japanese, but I'm probably the weakest link of our family. My husband is completely bilingual. So this is my daughter Katie, who's 24, and my son Andy, who is 22, and he stays in Japan. Food is my love language. It is also my art. So I have no drawing skills at all. Is anybody an artist in here? Like
Sort of.
kinda?
I drew a shirt for a
Yeah.
cosplay.
Oh. Okay, so I can't draw at all. I like to do like calligraphy, but I cannot draw, but I love to work in food. So I'm the one that likes to make like the charcuterie boards, or you're coming over and I'm gonna make you like tea and we're like have colors and textures and stuff. So food is an art for me and I love to cook for people. When my kids were younger and their friends would come over, like, it's like, you're gonna stay for dinner, right? Stay for dinner. Yeah, let me make you bento for tomorrow. Take this for you. I feed people. That's what I love to do. I love to go to Japan. I've been to Japan probably over 25 times. Matter of fact, I just got back from Japan. I've been home for about a week now. My in-laws still live in Gifu Prefecture outside of Nagoya. So I love to go to Japan and I do research. I do research all the time, even though I'm familiar and feel comfortable in Japan. I always want to learn new things every time I go. I want to try new foods. I want to meet new people. I want to learn all the cultures. And I'm lucky that my mother-in-law is a retired English teacher, so I can ask her deeper questions about why. Why do you do it this way? Or the culture behind it. And teachers love to teach, even retired teachers. They will teach you all day long. So I'm happy to learn, and she's happy to teach. So my day job, though, is I am a young adult author. So I have 4 books out right now. And I have Tanabacha Wish, which was my first book. This is set in Japan. So if you love like Emily in Paris and those kind of immersive kind of things, it's about a teen girl who goes to Japan for the summer, falls in love with a Japanese boy. We have Three, came out in 2018. This is for the 100th anniversary of the Spanish flu pandemic. And then 2 years later, we all became experts on pandemic living. And it has been kind of scary how it has been echoing. So if you like Downton Abbey, The Greatest Showman, this is an upstairs, downstairs romance. We have everything. So Yuri on Ice is my favorite anime of all time. So if you love on the ice romances, this is Yuri on Ice meets The Cutting Edge with a girl who is a washed up figure skater at 16 years old. So she's like the Carol Pinskys, the people that are like, and I'm sure everybody has that one friend who is like the star football player, the star dancer, the star singer, that their whole personality all in. So that's her. And a boy, Jonah Choi, wants to be the next Apollo. Well, he's a short track skater. So he comes and interrupts her race. And then my latest one is for all my girls who are STEM and STEAM. So Faking Reality is about a girl who has literally been on TV since the day she was born. She works on her family HGTV show, so she's a builder and a baker. And this is a best friends to lovers romance because her best friend is a boy who works for his family's Japanese restaurant. So lots of all the things. All of my books have a lot of Japanese food in them, except for Brie. It has Italian food. But I also work in the anime community. I am the Obento Lady. I've been the Obento Lady for about 10 years now. And I love teaching people how to play with their food and how to be creative, especially young people. So, Ishoni ryori shimashou. Let's cook together. Step 1, containerizing. You need to go to the store and find you some containers. But you need to think about what you like to eat and how you like to eat. So if you are working, you might be like, okay, it's going from my refrigerator to my car to my desk to the refrigerator at work. You can carry like glass because you have a microwave and everything. Okay, if you're at school and you have to carry everything on your back all day long, then you're having a glass container does not make sense for you. So you might want different boxes. You may decide that you want to have several different sizes and styles of boxes. So if you eat a lot of sandwiches, I usually say get a rectangle box to start with because you can make the traditional Japanese ones. You can also make sandwiches. You can also put like salads and other things. So it's the most flexible, whether you have like the dividers in there, that's up to you. What I did for my kids, so I made bento for my kids from the time they started the school in kindergarten until they graduated from high school. Every day. Except the days they forgot their lunch, but you know, I did make it. And some days it was awesome and beautiful, and some days it was really quick and easy, but it was still in a box, different boxes. So, but what they would carry their main part of their meal, their sandwich or whatever, and some vegetables. And then I would have a separate box, a smaller box that has like your fruit. Because I don't know about you, I don't like it when like you're eating pineapple or something kind of juicy and it like gets onto your sandwich because it's dipped in and stuff. So like just having it separate in its own little box. And then, you know, you can have the triple stack boxes where you have it planned out. You can do it as like, if you know you have like practice after school and you know you're not going to be home until really late, but you're thinking ahead that I want to bring foods to have that are, you know, okay if they sit out for hours on end. So, you know, cookies or almonds or grapes or something that won't go bad. So you might, you know, think ahead and make a separate box. If you know you're going out and you have a lot of errands to run and you're trying not to go to Starbucks or McDonald's because you're trying to save your money so that you can go to your favorite, you know, events and buy stuff, think ahead and bring snacks for yourself. So Obento can be a meal, but it also can be a snack too. I have lots of different sizes. I have the little teeny tiny ones. Have anybody been to Hello Tokyo? I forget what Hello Tokyo. Okay, so yeah. Hello Tokyo is Daiso, which is the Japanese dollar store. Their stuff is more expensive than the dollar, but they have like tiny ones because you know you don't need like a whole big container of like mustard. You just need like a little squirt. So they have like the little teeny tiny ones, and then you can go to Target and buy like these smaller ones for blueberries or ranch dressing, something like that.
Yeah, if we have a little Tupperware, it's
Mhm.
like this big, there's,
And then you can put that inside your other box, so you can dip.
like my mom would put jelly, in a
Mhm.
little thing, and then she'd give me one of those gift to goes. And I would make my own peanut butter and
Yep.
jelly sandwich
Yep.
at school because it
There
would
you
make,
go.
it would make too much of a mess in my lunchbox, so I make it myself.
That's really smart. So the thing on the bottom though is a cupcake holder, but it's the silicone cupcake holders. You can buy those at Targets, you know, for like less than $5 for like 20. And I love those because you can push them around in the box. So that way, if you have like blueberries or cucumber can get a little bit wet, you just put your cucumber in there and then push it to the side of the bento. And it's, you know, it's not like a box that won't move. You can like squish it around and put it into space. So the Japanese love rules. They have rules for everything and even bento. And this one is called the 4-3-2-1 rule. And it's 4 parts rice, 3 parts protein, 2 parts vegetable, 1 part treat. So traditionally, it is 4 parts rice. And you can have like your Japanese sticky rice. You can put it in the box. This is if you watch anime, you'll see this one all the time. So you'll see it's the white rice with the little red thing in the middle. So the red thing in the middle is umeboshi, and it's like a sour plum. And they call this the Hinamaru Obento because it looks like the Japanese flag. The Japanese flag is white with the red sun in the middle. So you'll see this all the time. And now whenever you watch Pokemon or you watch any anime, now you know what it is.
It's not a jelly donut.
It is, we were gonna talk about that. That is not a jelly donut. If you watch Pokemon, they like, and then we're all.
That's not a jelly donut.
What is it though? Start to know.
I forgot what it's called.
It's called onigiri. Onigiri. But it's still sticky rice. Wet your hands, put salt on your hands, make it into that shape, put a piece of seaweed on it when you're ready to eat it. And you can put the umeboshi in the middle, you can put it in there or not. But you can take, if you're making a very traditional one, you have your sticky rice, you can make it into sushi, you can make it into inari. So do you know the difference between sushi and sashimi? Anybody know the difference between sushi and sashimi? Because I hear all the time, oh, I don't like sushi, I don't like raw fish. I said, well, not all sushi is raw fish. You can have cucumber in your sushi. So sashimi is the raw fish, and some people eat the raw fish by itself, or they put it on top of the sushi. So sushi is actually vinegared rice. So that's why it has the sashimi on top, and now it becomes sushi. And this has it in there too. So if your friend says, I don't like sushi because I don't like raw fish, you're like, well, you know that they have other things too. So down in the right-hand corner, that's called inari. And this is to Japanese kids what macaroni and cheese is to American kids. It's a comfort food. It's very sweet. It has the tofu. So like if you don't eat animal products, you can eat this at the sushi restaurant. So it's made of fried tofu, you know, like a sweet sauce. And then you just take the sushi rice, the vinegar rice, and you make like little pillows out of it. But here's the thing. You don't have to eat rice. You don't have to. And not all Japanese people eat rice in their bento. You can use other kinds of grains, quinoa, wild rice, whatever you like. You can eat bread. You can have breads, rolls, croissants, bagels, whatever you like. You can have pastas, noodles. You can have American noodles or Japanese noodles style. It doesn't matter. Again, I'm from Arizona. We eat a lot of tortillas. So we have tortillas. You could have pretzels, the little tiny ones, or you can have like the really big kind of pretzels too. If you just want something different, And then in the corner, what do I have? Oh, those are different types of root chips. So you could have potato chips, but if you wanted to bump it up a little bit, you could have like the turnip chips and all that kind of thing. Yes.
Is it bread like the same as, is it bread in like America the same as like rice in Japan?
We're beginning to get more overflow because when I was in Japan, there's a lot of bakeries. So most Japanese homes, and this is still, my mother-in-law just rebuilt her kitchen, don't have ovens. So you usually go to the bakery, the panya store is where you go and buy your bread. And Japanese bread is, so you see Japanese bread all the time, especially the really thick white bread that has the pat of butter in the middle, and like Sailor Moon's running late because she's late to school. Oh, that bread is it's so good. It's expensive, like $5 but it's awesome. So 3 parts protein. Anybody ever see the little taco? They're the octopus or taco. Have you seen them in anime before?
Yeah.
So these are little sausages. I haven't been able to, well, in Arizona, I couldn't find them. I haven't looked at in the here, but they're just, I would use like little smokies, the little sausages, and you just take a pair of scissors. They have a dedicated pair of scissors in your kitchen that you don't cut other stuff. It's only food scissors. And you just like cut 4. I know they have 8, but you cut 4 and then you fry it. So that way the casing of it is what makes it kind of curl up. I've seen people do it with hot dogs. It just doesn't work quite as well, but it can be done. Like, I don't eat pork. I don't like sausages. That's fine. Some other things you might see in Japan, especially if you're watching anime and stuff, is this thing. So this looks like the Naruto kind of thing. This is fish sausage. This is kamaboko. And kamaboko is fish paste that is extruded and pushed into different shapes. So you can find it in like Hello Kitty or your Pikachu. My kids do not like kamaboko. It doesn't matter what cute shape it's in. They're not gonna eat it. So, but it's something that you'll see. And if you eat ramen, you'll see it, the little thing. So now you know the little thing that looks like Naruto is fish paste. You see a lot of salmon. Anybody know what this one is? You see this one a lot. Like this one right here. So it's tempura, but it's a very specific kind. Yeah, so it's a shrimp, it's ebi fried, so they're about this big. So that's different than like, you know, like a little popcorn shrimp kind of thing. So you'll see a lot of ebi fried. This is hamburger, so it is a hamburger. It's smaller than American hamburger, but it's bigger than a meatball. And it has a red tomato sauce on top of it. And then you'll see this a lot. It's nuggies, it's Japanese nuggies. It's karaage. It's fried chicken. It's fried chicken is what it is, and it's these dark meat. So you'll see these a lot in Japanese bento, but you don't have to. You'll see a lot of egg. And until recently, I'm like, eggs are a great cheap source of protein. It's like, what? Eggs? Now they're like $5. But anyway, you will see in the restaurants, if you go to the conveyor belt ones, you'll see this is tamagoyaki. And so it's sitting on a little rice and it has like a little piece of seaweed as its belt. Very easy to make. They have like special rectangular pans that you can make tamagoyaki at home. And you can eat it on top of rice, but you can also just put it in your bento. You can make an omelet. I've seen people, well, they'll make like an omelet without putting anything inside it. And so they take the fry pan and they make the circle. And then when it's kind of cool enough, they take, again, their dedicated pair of scissors and cut it. So it looks like Pikachu, and then they take ketchup and make like a little face and stuff like that. Or you can take like canapé cutters and like cut out stars and then put it on top of the rice or something like that. So you're decorating. You can make egg salad sandwiches, and to make them fancy, you just cut them into, cut them into little triangles or cut them into squares and cut the crust off. And even if that's all the time you have, it just makes it look fancy. You put a little piece of lettuce on there. You can take your hard-boiled eggs. And these are carrots and olives where they cut it down and like pressed it into the hard-boiled egg. And they also sell special molds. So you make your hard-boiled egg, you pull the shell off and you put it in this mold, let it cool down. And then when you pop it out, it holds its shape. So that way, it's just artistic. And it's like you just took it one extra step. You didn't have to get out scissors and cut anything. You just took that one extra step. You can use cold cuts, whatever you like to, whatever your normal thing is, like ham. And if you want to be fancy and use like a little cutter and make little faces, you can. You can use chicken breasts. You can use meatballs to make stuff. You don't have to make it special. If whatever you're having for dinner that night, put one portion to the side or cook like one extra. So that way you can have something that's different and really tasty, but you didn't spend any extra time on it. Because I'm all about like, don't reinvent the wheel. It's like if you're doing one thing for dinner, put it to the side so you can make your bento at the same time. So you may say, I don't eat meat. Oh, that's fine. There's all kinds of nut butters out there. You can have a complex protein like beans and rice. You can do hummus, baba ganoush. You can do more plant-based proteins like falafels or something like that. So there's all kinds. Just because you don't eat meat does not mean you can't make bento. The next thing you're going to need are 2 parts vegetables. What you'll see a lot in anime bento are cherry tomatoes, corn on the cob. But what they did special with the corn on the cob is they make it smaller and they cut it. And so now when you put it flat, it looks like a sunflower. And sometimes they'll put like a little, they have like little sticks that you can put like eyeballs and stuff like that, or they'll make it into like a lion or something like that. But it's still corn on the cob. You see a lot of broccoli. Anybody know what this is right here?
That lotus.
It is lotus. So this is rencon. This is lotus. Lotus doesn't have much of a taste to it, but usually we'll cook it with like soy sauce and sugar. But I just love it because it looks like lace and it's just so pretty. And even if you're like, well, it's not my favorite, but it's got fiber in it and it's pretty. And then these things, if you eat at a Japanese restaurant, you'll see these. Anybody know what these are? Yes. So they're daikon. Daikon is actually white. I don't know what they do to it to make it this electric yellow, but you'll find this a lot. And then here's the umeboshi again. And they usually serve this with really fatty stuff. I don't know if it's supposed to help with my digestion, but you'll often see it with like katsu and like the little fried stuff. But that's okay if you don't like those kind of foods. If you like carrots and celery, you can totally use that. There are all kinds of greens and for everything from just plain old, boring iceberg lettuce to spinach and arugula and kale and all kinds of fun stuff. And then cucumbers. I use cucumbers a lot. I especially love English cucumbers because their skin is not so thick on them and they don't have so much of a taste. So, and they're really long. So you take your vegetable peeler, and I have the kind that looks like a razor blade kind of thing, and you just like cut stripes in them. You cut stripes in them and it kind of comes up with this kind of look. It's kind of cool. So when you cut them on the slices, it just has that kind of checkered look and you can kind of like move it to make it look kind of checkered. But you can also use like canapé cutters and you don't have to do all of them. You could do like just the first one where you cut out like a heart in the middle and then just put that one on top or something like that. And it just makes it look fancier. Just, makes your tuna sandwich look more exciting. Anybody like different kinds of vegetables? I love sugar snap peas. I love them raw. I love them blanched. That's when you cook them just for like a minute, or I love them cooked all the way. Snow peas. Again, I'm from Arizona, so we're like pico de gallo. Pico de gallo, all those vegetables, onions, peppers, tomatoes, pico de gallo, and a little bit of avocado guacamole. Good fat in there. I love peppers. So if you're making fajitas at home or something, like you would use strips of peppers. Just make the strips and put a couple to the side. Or they sell like the little teeny tiny ones. Have you seen the ones in the grocery store that are about that big? And they're still like the different colors. And if you want to be very extra at Halloween, you take a very sharp knife and you cut the orange one into a little tiny jack-o'-lantern. That's a little much, but you could, and I've seen it done. And then the other thing are all our kinds of pickles. So we don't eat a lot of daikon and stuff, but if you like olives, they have all kinds of different colored olives. We have all kinds of pickles. Some are sweet, some are sour, some are, hot, whatever you like. And then even like weird stuff like this kind of baby corn, that they're all still vegetables. And it's just more exciting than just like, oh, it's a bag of celery. Celery's kind of boring. It works, but it's kind of boring. Last part, 1 part treat. So for Americans, we think cookies, cupcakes, candy, all the sweet things. And they do have them, they definitely do. They definitely have them in Japan and you will see like little individual baggies of stuff. But fruit is horribly expensive, just ridiculously expensive in Japan. So again, I just got back from Japan and you may have seen on the internet in Japan, like a watermelon that's square and it's like this big and it's like $100. Those do exist. I haven't seen the square ones so much, but I have seen the ones that are circular this big and they're like $50. And I would like put a pair of sunglasses next to it so you can see just how small it is. Fruit is expensive. I went to Mitsuwa because I live up near Arlington Heights. I went to Mitsuwa and they had some strawberries recently that they had imported from Japan. And there was 10 in the box. Perfect, all perfect strawberries. $48.
Oh, my.
Like, you don't down the street, right? And they're like, so for them, fruit really is a treat. You'll often see in traditional bento, you may see cherry tomatoes because tomatoes, they're like, that's a vegetable. No, technically that's a fruit. They're very sweet. And so if you want something sweet for your bento, you may get like a little tomato. I don't know about you, my kids hate cherry tomatoes. Unless it's in TikTok pasta, they're not touching them, but I like them. These little apples, have you seen the apple bunnies? So you cut your apples like this, and then you take a very, very careful with a sharp knife, you cut up underneath the skin to about halfway, and then you notch it. So that way, when you roll it up, it looks like a little bunny that's kind of sleeping and has little ears. I see that one a lot. Anybody a Sanrio fan? Which character looks like this? Yes, compound pudding, because this is pudding, also known as creme brulee. So pom pom pudding is the golden retriever who wears the brown yellow berets. That's pudding. So they have those in Japan. They're about that big that you put in the corner. Or if you go to any Asian grocery store, you'll find those little tiny jellies.
I've had those before. Those are so good.
So you just need like one or two. If you need like a bright color, you flip it over and put it in the corner. So these are the kinds of things that you would traditionally see. I like to tell people to use fruits and vegetables though, because you get like a lot of color, you get a lot of taste. If you're dehydrated, you can get a lot of like fluids into you. So right now it is strawberry season, Ichigo season. So Ichigo season is strawberry season. You can put them on like a little stick and make like a little kebab kind of thing. If you're making a bento for the person that you have a crush on, you take the top off and then you take your knife and make it like little indentations, and then it has little hearts. So you can make a little Valentine bento. You'll be like, there you go. In the winter with the mikan or the oranges and the tangerines, you can put the whole tangerine in. You can put a slices of orange and grapefruits and stuff. Or around Halloween, you can take a food safe marker and make like a little jack-o'-lantern or something like that. If you want to be artistic and fun, can't go wrong with grapes. Grapes have a lot of water in them. But think outside the box. So inside your bento, you can make it very colorful with kiwi, and they have like the golden kiwi and the green kiwi. If you're making more than one bento, you can do like kiwi, and across the board. So you're not cutting a whole bunch of stuff. Mangoes and papayas, different types of berries add like a lot of punch. And then even like fun stuff like dragon fruit. Have you tried dragon fruit?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And it's just different. And maybe you don't want a whole bunch of it, but the idea you could make fruit salads and put like one piece in one piece or something like that. But they're all these beautiful colors and they have like a big, punch to them. So there are more rules to Japan. So does anybody's lunch ever look like this? So you have your peanut butter sandwich and maybe some graham crackers and some apples. Yeah. Well, I mean, this lunch is not bad. I mean, it gives you energy, gives your brain energy, but it's so boring. It doesn't make you feel happy and inspired. So another rule that they have in Japan is the color rule. And so you need something red, something yellow, and something green. And here's the thing. If it doesn't, the bento police are not going to come and take your bento away and not let you eat. Okay. Yeah, they're not going to do that. So you don't have to, but that idea of like just for yourself. So if you're making lunch, you're like, this bento doesn't look right. It's missing something. You're like, oh, that's what it needs. It needs something yellow. What can I put in there? And yellow can also be orange too. But even we saw with the reds, with the strawberries and the little takoyaki, the little octopus. We have edamame. So for green, the edamame inside or outside of the shell, the kiwi. And then for the yellow, again, the little corn, the orange peppers, oranges themselves, pineapples. You can play with stuff. You can use, stuff that's fresh. You can use stuff that's dry. You can use stuff that's been in the freezer and just make little things. Just put it in a box that it won't leak out all over your bag. And even more rules. So when you go to like the restaurants and stuff, you saw it at front, the box that had like all the little different size containers within that box. And then idea of like, if you're making a very traditional one, you need to have that balance of all the different tastes. And you can do some research about like on your tongue, there are all different things. There's like the receptors that are sour, the receptors that are salty, the receptors are sweet, and the receptors are bitter. And they're trying to get all the different mouthfeels, crunchy and soft and sweet. So ideally, you want to have something that's crunchy, something that's soft, something that's juicy, something that's dry, something that's sweet, something that's sour, something that's flavorful, something that's salt, something. You don't have to. You don't have to, but just the idea of like, you don't want to have sweet, 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 sweet all the way across. That's why you see the sour plums. And again, my kids will not touch a sour plum. But the idea of like, that's why it's in there, because they want that different mouthfeel and it's not the same thing. So are you feeling overwhelmed? Like, I don't even know where to start. Oh my God.
A little bit.
A little bit? Yeah. So,
I have eating issues, like most vegetables, most fruits are a complete no.
okay. But you can start wherever you are and then see if you can find something that's like slightly adjacent. You'd be like, no, okay, maybe. But how about one?
Cause I like white rice, so I was thinking I could do like the rice with maybe some like bacon, egg and cheese in there. And potatoes is the only vegetable I can eat, potato.
Okay. So what I tell people to do is to do an experiment. So go to, because now you can, when I started as the Obento Lady, you could not buy bento boxes in America. I would go to Japan, I would buy the boxes, I would bring them back with me. And these are like simple boxes or character boxes and stuff. Now you can go to Target and buy bento boxes. They don't call them bento boxes, but they're bento boxes. You can go and you can buy, what works for your shape. And then, they have different character ones. But if you're an artist, you can take a black Sharpie and do some of your own character art. If you go to C2E2 or Anime Con or even this one and you get stickers that make you feel happy. Or like, I really like this obscure anime and they don't make those boxes. Or like you can get a sticker of your favorite K-pop band and stick it on your box that you got from Walmart. And it'll just make you feel happy every time you look at it. So what I tell people is to buy some boxes. Then whatever you normally eat for lunch, so this is like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with some baby carrots, some grapes, and a Capri Sun and a really sad brown paper bag. Take it out and rebox it. And you don't even have to make it into the tea sandwiches. You can just cut the crust off if you want to be fancy. Put it in your box. Here's my carrot. The only thing I added here was I took the little tiny box, put some ranch dressing and a little bit of dill weed on top of it. And then here's my grapes, and then I added 2 of the notched little parts, and then I put the drink in the container. Take it to work or school with you, and see how many people say, "Oh, your lunch is so cute. It's the same lunch. You just packaged it differently, and you spent a little bit more time on it." So you start with whatever's easy and fast and is your entryway, and then you start branching out. And then before you know it, food can be your love language too. And you may spend days where you make like super fancy ones, and then you have the days where you don't. So for example, my bento on Mondays always looked awesome because Sunday night I was doing meal prep and food prep. I had more time to do it. By Thursday night for Friday's lunch, Mom was tired. We had marching band practice till 9 o'clock. I had a meeting, I get up. It was like, here's a sandwich, boom, here's some carrots, boom, here's some grapes, boom. Still better than what they were serving in the cafeteria. And we're not putting plastic baggies in the landfill. So I think at the end of the day, it's not about the boxes and the art. It's about not putting single-use plastics in the landfills because we're running out of space. And going to Japan was very eye-opening for me for another reason. So in Japan, they have extremely strict recycling laws. It is not optional. If your house is like, well, I don't feel like recycling, well, you will be fine. There's a way to do it, and they have like special days to do stuff. If you go to a convenience store, you might put like, here's my bottle of soda. I had to take the label off, and this isn't all places, but I had to take the label off and put it in one. I had to take the top off and put it in another. And like, okay, is this a green bottle, a white bottle, or like a colored bottle? And I had to put it in the right thing. So not all the time, but that idea of like Japanese recycling is very challenging, and it made me come back to America and see how much waste we have. So trying to move away from the Lunchables and the Capri Suns and stuff as much as you can. So itadakimasu. So if you watch people, you're usually sitting down. So you put your hands together. Itadakimasu. However, you do not introduce yourself that way. So I don't go hakimasu, those are your itadakimasu. No, you don't do that. Traditionally, if you're male, you put your hands on your side and bend over. If you're female, traditionally, you put it on your thighs. So the only time you put your hand and do this is when you're saying itadakimasu, which literally means I humbly receive. But people use it as like, let's eat. So we're all sitting around like waiting for somebody to start. Itadakimasu, now we all can start. Does anybody know what you say after the meal is over? What do they say?
Thank you.
That's hello. You're gonna, so at the end, you do the same thing, put your hands together, you do like your little thing, you say, gochiso sama deshita. Gochiso sama deshita. So, itadakimasu, gochiso sama deshita. And you can also say thank you. Nobody will fault you for being polite. So, it's my little thing here.
I was gonna say like sayonara.
Sayonara means goodbye.
Yeah.
And usually sayonara is like the final goodbye. Like, I'm never going to see you again. You're gonna see your friends tomorrow. You're like, ja matane, or you're like matane, see you later. See ya. So do you guys have any questions? And you can ask me, I'm gonna put up my Instagram and stuff. You can talk about mental, we can talk about food, we can talk about Japanese culture, we can talk about mixed Asian families, whatever you want. What do you want to talk about?
How many times have you seen like Studio Ghibli about?
On like on the internet a lot. And you can buy like the different boxes and you can just like put that in and they'll show you all kinds of examples of where people have like cut stuff. It's very, very fancy. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to talk about?
What would you recommend if you want to visit Japan? Because we were thinking about going to Japan to visit Studio Ghibli.
Oh,
I'm not too sure exactly where it's at. I know I have my husband has a friend that lives in Okinawa. My friend, I had a roommate that lived in like, the Tokyo area.
yeah, so these are all very different places. So even if Japan is a small country, so she was talking about Okinawa, and that's like the southernmost island. I mean, that's where there's a lot of American army bases or Navy bases and stuff like that. So that's almost like Hawaii is to the continental US, so it's a little bit different. Tokyo is not Nagoya, which is not Osaka, which is not Kyoto. It's like Phoenix is not, NYC is not LA. They all have their separate kind of thing. So my easiest one, I think, is Kyoto, just because it's smaller and it has all the things. So if you want to go and do like the tea ceremony, or you want to see people in kimono, or if you want to see like the shrines and stuff, it's much more contained. Whereas I did go to Tokyo this past time. Tokyo is enormous. The good thing is, because of the Olympics that were there, now there's a lot of English signs. There's a lot of English signs all over Japan. So Tokyo's always had a lot of English signs, but where my in-laws live out in the way out in the countryside, they live like literally there's rice paddies next door. There wasn't a lot of Japanese. So that was a problem for me sometimes because I can read Japanese script, but I can't read the pictograms. Those are like the kind of Chinese style stuff. I can't read what that is. So I always just say, can read it for me. This is fine. But now I saw it. Makes my life easier. Yes. So Kyoto, but also Tokyo you can stuff too.
Do they ever like translate things wrong?
Not necessarily wrong, but and we see this in America too, in the reverse, the people who get like tattoos with Chinese characters or Japanese characters and it doesn't say what they think it does or it doesn't make sense. So I do take pictures and I did, let's see if I can find it, like t-shirt sayings that make absolutely no sense at all. Like, okay, but that's, that's just when people get things wrong. And you bring, as an American, people have expectations and things that they think about you, and it's up to you to kind of gently, like, oh, what do you like that? Or yes, I do this, but no, I don't do that. So, what, you have a question, bud? Yes. It is. We have up to 15 more minutes. So if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to ask, or if you want to. No, not yet. I would just say. Okay. Wait, before you guys leave though, I have a prize. Wait, whose birthday is in July? When is your birthday? 31st? 28. Okay, so you actually win because it's July 7th is Kanabata, which is my first book. And there's a little bit there.
Cool. Thank you, Sarah.
And you're on social media, tag me. I want to see what you make and like here's like I did the test today and everybody like gushed over how funny fun it was. It was the same sad lunch I don't eat.
I was trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, you can